Hey everybody, just so you're aware, I might not see as many comments during this. I'm going to be doing a couple things as we talk here. So first thing I'm doing, I got a new Christmas tree tub here, brand new that I bought last year that I haven't gotten ready for use yet. So even though it's brand new, still want to clean everything, so I just sprayed it down with some chlorhexidine here. I've got my solder gun plugged in so I can put some holes in it. From sitting stored, my dog's hair gets everywhere, so that's in there. And I'm going to wait a few minutes, let some people get in here, and then discuss to what some might be the elephant in the room. I think a lot of people have some misconceptions about what went on today, and knowing how the community can be, I'm sure a bunch of people are already talking and I'm just not aware of it, thinking that I might be scaling back or, you know, getting out because they saw that I did sell Incognito and Tux together back to Kara. And that was not an easy decision to do. It was not something that I wanted to do. It was not something that was motivated by money. It was not something that was motivated by anything other than the fact that it was the right thing to do. I can't really get into the reasons why because it's not my place and it's not my business, but it was the right thing to do. And those people that know me well know that I can be an asshole and I can be all those types of things for sure, especially if you deserve it. But for people that are my friends or people that I respect, I will go the extra mile to be as decent as I can be. And it was well deserved for those animals to go back with Kara. She originally produced Incognito, I want to say in 2008, if I'm not mistaken. Tux was produced by Jeff Hartwig in 2004, but I did acquire Tux from Kara in 2014, and I acquired Incognito probably early 2015. And then Sambuca obviously came with Tux. Yeah, like I said, this was not a decision that honestly was made on anything from my end, other than it was the right thing to do. Kara had actually been talking to me for probably about 2 years now, I would say, to try to get Incognito back. And for a while, I thought about it, but I was hesitant. There was some guilt tripping. She definitely gave me a few guilt trips, all in jest, not seriously. But we talked about it. And I considered it, and there were, you know, factors on her end that made me agree to it a while ago. And then there was additional stuff that really made it the right thing to do right now. And so while I'm very, very sad those animals are not here, they are with someone that absolutely adores them as much, if not more than I do. I would say we adore them probably equally, but you know, I'm sure I feel I adore them a little more. She feels she adores them a little more, you know, which is ideal because that means that we both really care. So it's definitely a mixed bag, but I think that people see Incognito leaving, especially knowing that's pretty much my favorite animal, even though I hate saying that I have favorites. She really was, or is, makes it sound like she's dead. But, so I think people saw that I let her go and think like, oh, you know, I must be getting out of snakes or something like that. Not the case at all. Those are the first 2 adult animals that I have ever sold. And, like I said, if circumstances weren't what they were on the other end, I would not have sold those animals. You know, any one of you could have offered me thousands and thousands of dollars for those snakes, and I would have just laughed at you and been like, oh, you weren't joking? Well, it's not happening. So it wasn't something that I needed to sell them. It wasn't something money motivated. You know, and wasn't anything like that at all. I didn't make any money on the sale of them. You know, I mean, I sold them, so I did get money for them, but I just sold them back for what I paid for them, which was a great deal to begin with. I could have very well, if I was selling those animals, you know, generally, like if I needed money and that was the motivation to sell them, you know, I wouldn't have let Incognito walk out of here for probably less than twice what I sold her for. Because that animal is worth her weight in gold. Not only was she a fantastic breeder, she was a fantastic animal. Once again, I'm saying was. Not one single complaint with her at all. I used her for educational programs. I used her for breeding. She ate fantastic. She was mild-mannered. She wasn't a messy animal. Other than her pushing her face that one time, which turned out to be her cycling for being gravid, she's never been sick. She's never nothing. She's never had a bad shed. She's just a perfect, flawless animal. So, you know, talking shop a little bit, I know I did in one video, but a clutch of her babies is worth, let's say she has 12 babies, just for a round number. You're looking at probably $500 to $7,500 for that clutch. So, I mean, you breed her every other year. You're looking at bringing in, you're going to keep holdbacks. You're looking at bringing in probably $8,000 to $10,000 from her, you know, for two breeding seasons, whether you do every other or whatever. So I'm doing that math wrong because I'm an idiot. So if one clutch is $5,000 to $7,500, let's say you sell $5,000 worth of babies every other year, so that's $2,500 a year averaged out, that she could produce, and you know, cost of upkeep on one snake is not that much money, especially running ambient. You know, my electric bill is like $300 a month, but there's 100 snakes in that. So even if I wasn't using electricity and that was just snakes, you know, what is that? $3 a snake, a month. So you're looking at, you know, like $30 a year, for heating per animal, and that's exaggerated. It's probably closer to, you know, $12 or something like that, maybe even less. And then what's food? I mean, Sumatran shorttails, low metabolism, slow metabolism, whatever the fucking word is. It's so hot in here, I can't think straight. But, you know, you're looking at feeding her maximum probably 20 meals a year. Maybe 25. Call it 25. Even if it was $3 a meal, $75. You know, you're looking at $100 a year to maintain that animal. Even with cleaning supplies, paper towels, you know, whatever it is, call it $120 a year. And then, you know, as long as you got no vet care or anything, it's pretty smooth sailing. So $120 a year for $2,500 a year return, plus sitting on holdbacks, which then produce their own babies eventually. You can see why it's a no-brainer and why she's worth her weight in gold. So, you know, if I sold that snake, I probably would have sold her, I probably would have listed her for like $1,500. And there's people that would tell you, oh, that's crazy, Sumatrans aren't worth that much. But if you look at the numbers that I just broke down, she's not your average Sumatran. She's a top tier animal, not only in appearance, but just everything about her. So, you know, if somebody didn't want to pay that, they're stupid. There's no two ways about it, because the return on investment there is huge. And she's about as sure thing as a sure thing exists. But anyhow, I just wanted to address that so that people didn't think that I'm scaling back or anything like that. It's not the case at all. But you know how the community is. I'm sure there's already people, oh, you sold that animal, I must be getting out. No, I'm not. Planning on pushing forward as I always have been. Like I said, it was just the right thing to do in that situation. So I put paper in here first because I'm talking and not paying attention, and I didn't put my holes in yet. So I've got to do that now. And people always ask how many holes, blah, 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 blah. There's no answer that's going to be 100% correct, because even within my 2 snake rooms, the number of holes in each snake room can vary in the same house. So in your house, it's really going to be different. The important thing to me is doing ground level ventilation, which I think is really crucial to short tails. And I never really thought about it all that much until a few years ago. Keith McPeak, to those of you who may know him, especially in the short tail community, although he doesn't keep short tails anymore, he's kind of, one of the godfathers of so many things that we have. So any of you guys that deal with, honey ghost or blue ghost, a lot of the marble stuff, a lot of that stuff is stuff that Keith, is really known for or originated. White ghost stuff, all kinds of stuff. So he's definitely a very knowledgeable person. He's the one that kind of addressed it and talked about it. And these animals are very, very heavy breathers. It's one of those things like once I read what he said about it, I was like, oh wow, that's really obvious. And but sometimes you don't think about the obvious. And these people that have been keeping for a long time and are, students of the game, to kind of use the cliche, they really pay attention to detail. And that's something where I wish I was a little sharper. I think my greatest strength is, developing working relationships with my animals. I think that I'm very in tune with them and their body language and how to work with individuals and get the most out of them. And so I think that's my greatest strength. But I definitely wish that I was a little bit more detail-oriented and better at record keeping. And not that it shoots me in the foot to not keep records so much, but I think that there's a lot of knowledge to be had that, I'm not really participating in perpetuating because, I don't have all this data. I was listening to, I think it was the Reptile podcast, Reptile Talk podcast, Rob and Jeremy's thing there. And around like their 3rd episode, they had Steve Tillis on there. And he's been working with, I want to say Eugene, on taking all of his paper records and putting it into some kind of database that kind of collates the data and turns it into something. And he has like 20, 30 years of data or whatever, and it's really, really extravagant stuff. And they only put in, I think, like the first couple of years, and already there's like crazy interesting things that nobody really observed as it was happening, but there's cycles and different things that are like clockwork with certain animals, where all of a sudden this animal's running a predictable pattern every year in the breeding cycle, even though conditions are different around the animal, even though we're doing things at a different time in a different way. And there's all kinds of cool stuff that's coming out of that. So I do think that if I kept better records, considering the number of years that I've already kept and the number of years I plan on keeping, eventually that could be good. But I'm so goddamn busy that, sitting down and writing, I don't even record feedings for any of my animals. Which I think some people will find crazy, but I don't. I just know in my head who's eating what cycle where, how often. And that doesn't mean that there's not some holes in that system. I just sent Tux out and I shot that video. Tux is one that I probably should have been feeding a little bit more than what I had been. But that was just me in the mentality of, he's going to be breeding. I want him lean and mean. And then I gave him the year off and I didn't adjust for that. So that was more of that than anything. I made those holes. So I just went around all 4 sides. I have more ventilation at the bottom than I do on the top because that's where it's crucial. These guys obviously are strictly terrestrial anyways, but in this caging, they're going to spend their time on the floor of the cage. They're not going to go anywhere else. So that's where they're breathing. That's where they need the ventilation. And the reason why it's important there, not just because that's where you're going to get that air movement, but what happens is when they go to the bathroom, they're very, very susceptible to that. And as I've said in the past, I don't have a scientific paper to hand you and say, here's proof of that. But anybody that's kept short tails for a long period of time knows that. For whatever reason, they let out so much, especially with the urates and the liquid that they release. If you let them sit in that for too long with not enough ventilation, they get sick from it. It'll cause issues because they breathe so deep, they suck all that stuff deep down into their lungs, and it's just not good for them. Naturally, in the wild, when they go to the bathroom, usually they would leave an area. They can't do that in this cage. They go to the bathroom, the most they can do is go from one side to the other. And the way they like to flood tubs, it doesn't matter. They can't get far enough away from it. So that ground level ventilation allows that out because that stuff is more dense than the air around it. So if it can't go out laterally, it's not going to come up and out. Especially in a room where there's only so much air movement in the house. Everything that we can do, fans and all this stuff, for the most part, are going to move air laterally. You can angle fans in a certain way to try to get some movement, but you're not going to be able to angle it into every cage, in your house to push it out. So it's best to have that ability to ventilate that stuff from that level. So this cage, I'm going to be putting, I believe it's Black Magic in here. She's going to get an upgrade. She's in shed right now, and so we're gonna set her up in here. She's gonna go into the slot where Incognito was. Tux was back here before, actually on the level where this tub is now, but his tub's outside. Now Tux and Incognito's tubs I did replace recently, so they're very clean, very nice. But I have them outside. I'm going to disinfect them a couple times and do things. Even though they're healthy, there's nothing wrong with them. If you're going to put a new animal into a cage where there was an existing animal, you want to really, really clean the shit out of that as best you can. And then give it a little bit of time, too, because, certain things, like certain types of things that cause respiratory infections, stuff like that, are only going to live without a host for so long. So not that they had that stuff, but just to be on the safe side, even if you clean everything, you guys know, you've read disinfectants before, 99.9, all that stuff, which basically is just, hey, some shit can survive. So it doesn't hurt to let that stuff sit, so I'll probably let it sit for a few weeks at least. And then, once a week I'll probably disinfect it. I'll throw bleach at it one time, chlorhexidine at it another time, maybe some F10 at it, or maybe bleach again, just to throw different things at it and get it as clean as possible. But this is a brand new tub that she's going to go into, so nothing's been in here yet. I'm not as crazy about these Christmas tree tubs. You can see the difference of the two kinds right here. This is a little bit more see-through. Hi, darling. Whereas this one's harder to see through. The snakes probably prefer these ultimately, but I like being able to kind of see in without opening. You can see in a little bits of this, but I can't actually visually see anything on the snake. This one I can see her exactly how she's sitting. I can see that she's tossed her cage around. There's a dookie right there that we're going to be cleaning after this video. So we'll get to that. But yeah, so I like those a little bit better, but these are the ones that are available now. So now I have a mix of both. I have 1, 2, 3 of these ones in use, plus this 4th one coming into use right now. And then I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Currently 10 of the other type in use. But Tux and Incognitos are like these here. So these I bought 2 seasons ago. These were bought last season. And then this season coming up, I'll buy more every year. I buy at least half a dozen of them, which works out. One of my girls over here that switched into the new one just absolutely destroyed her tub in a way that was so disgusting that I was getting ready to go away for vacation. And I was like, you know what? I'm not fucking cleaning that. It's a $30 tub. It's absolutely disgusting. Gone. She's in a new tub now. So that's one thing that I really like about using these, as opposed to $200, $400, $500 enclosure that really isn't as good ultimately as this is anyway. You can modify it, make it such, but these are absolutely perfect for these animals. They're $30. If you want to replace them every single year, $30 a year is not a huge expense. Obviously with the amount that I have, it would be a lot more money. But I stay on top of keeping them pretty clean, so they usually last me probably 4 or 5 seasons before I start to rotate them out. I only have 1, 2, 3 in here right now that are from about 4 or 5 years ago. The rest have all been phased out in the last few years. So let me get the water dish for her here, which I have behind me. And we will put the water in. And then because, as I said, she's in shed, I'm just going to dump some water straight in here. Keep it nice and wet for her. It's also why that ventilation is important. If there was poor ventilation and I left it that wet, it's liable to get moldy. The nice thing is, this is a clean cage, it's clean paper. So wetting down clean paper isn't going to give her any kind of scale issues or anything like that. If the paper was dirty, however, from her, peeing or whatever you want to call it, then it's a totally different story. Then, it's not good for them to sit on wet when it's like that. Just getting her out right now. Make sure. Yeah, that is Black Magic. I have her and her sister right next to her. So you can see she's in shed. Real blue. Still mild-mannered, great snake. But this will be a perfect size cage for her. I know, darling. I know. She's like, where the fuck am I? I'll turn you down so you guys can see her in here. So she's close to her adult length. She could put on another 6-8 inches over the course of her life. I mean, she could get larger than that, but I don't think she's going to at her age. Now she's just starting to fill out, get her mom hips, so to speak. So hopefully she'll fill out a little bit more. I don't think she'll be breeding this season. Possibly late in the year if I feel like she's put on weight. Because she has the age, so it's just a matter of how her weight is. And she's solid through here, but she's not at a weight where I would breed her just yet. But like I said, this is a cage that will last her. And she'll probably, she doesn't tend to hide ever in her existing cage, but this cage is a little bit bigger. Her existing cage now was probably about this big, so she's getting a couple more square feet over there. The dish is a little bit larger though, so it'll be a little bit more space for her, a little bit wider. But these guys are a very inactive species. So if you can give them space, they'll use it to some extent, but don't expect them to be running around like crazy. They pretty much kind of pick a spot and stay there for a couple weeks at a clip, unless they can see you come in the room or unless they smell food, in which case they become totally different animals. Now, Black Magic and Amina look almost identical to the average person. The easiest way to tell them apart is right here, which I don't know that you'll be able to see on the video, but she has like an arrow in her pattern. Let me see. I don't know if you guys can see that right there. But, and it's harder to see when she's not in shed, because when she's not in shed, you can't see her pattern as much. She's just darker. So that's the cool thing about these Sumatran shorttails. When they go into shed, you get all this blue through here. That's my hand, I know, I'm sorry. She can't see real well. She's like deep, deep blue right now. But yeah, so I think they're cool when you can see them like this. Let me get her lid here and we'll put her up since she is in shed. I don't want to bother her for too long. So I do use the lids on mine because I don't have them in like a prototypical rack. So it does make it more work. Every time you got to do something in there, you got to pull the whole bin down and do all that. So you're constantly lifting them and doing that kind of stuff. In a perfect world, would it be nicer to have them in racks? Probably. But for right now, the situation that I'm in, this is kind of how it has to work. If I ever buy a house and I have my own place, then I'll probably build some custom stuff for them and do things a little bit different. But I don't want to invest all that capital right now. Let me go through and see if there were questions here that I may have missed. Dun da da da. Yeah, water dishes are good. Hey, dripping hippie. All right. yes, there weren't very many questions there. Let me see. Let me sanitize up here a little bit. Maybe we'll see what I haven't fed that I can pull out. Trying to think who I fed when and where. Those guys all ate. I fed so much stuff recently. Where's your head? Hi. You guys saw her recently. Let's see what's up with this dude here. Yeah, I was going to take out my T-positive ivory, but I fed him, and he's still sitting pretty heavy with food, so I'm not going to bug him, obviously. Let me see, this little fucking asshole looked really mad earlier. And I don't remember without my paperwork which Sumatran is which, so this one might be one that's sold to somebody, or it might be my holdback that's over there. But this one just shed. Got a super, super silver tail, which I don't think the lighting in here is going to show. Hi. But definitely a cool little thing. I'm probably going to do chromes again this year, I think. Because unless Amina or Black Magic are ready to pair up, the only Sumatran short-tail female I have that should be ready to rock is Sambuca. So I'll likely pair her up, but we'll have to see. Let me see. You're not too bad, sheep. Here. This is a little dude here that's actually sold, but just still sitting here. It's a Matrix blood python. The one that I was just talking about that has the dookie is actually this guy's mama. This one sold to Lindsay. I don't know if you're in here or not, but that's your little dude there. What? He's like, leave me alone. He just ate probably like 3 days ago. Coloring up slowly. Mom was kind of like it was. I keep saying was, and she's fucking right behind me. She's kind of like a sunburnt orange color, and the male T-positive matrix that produced this baby is also kind of that way. So that baby's probably going to be pretty orange as an adult, but it's got a long way to go, obviously. Come on, little dude, where are you going? Hold on, we got a runner. They don't move for weeks, and then when you want them to sit still, they got places to be all of a sudden. So that's a cool animal. That'll hopefully be getting shipped out and go home soon. Where's this guy? You ate. I gotta stop feeding everything before I go to shoot videos. Who's over here that I can pull out? You're in shed, so we're gonna leave you be. This one's above my head, so I have no idea what I'm going into. Hi. Everybody's either in shed or just ate. That was one of the skunk line girls, which you guys have seen before. Oh, you know who I know is good? That just shed? I know. Just shed, just went to the bathroom, and I did not feed him the other day because he was in shed. And he's one you haven't seen in a little while. I know he was on the channel once, but I think that was it. Hiya, dude. Are you going to cooperate? Hmm? I know, it's a tough life you live. You're very slippery. So, you guys remember this guy when he came in, my T-positive 007. He's been eating great, pooping a lot. He just pooped and shed. Him and I have not really gotten on the same page. So he's very, very huffy with me, and he's being very, very huffy right now. All right, all right. Oh, he's so mad. No. All right, come on, dude. I know, it's a tough life that you live. All right. Get him. I'm going to put him back because he doesn't like me. I don't know why. Whoa, buddy. Whoa. Come on. You gotta go in that way. I don't know what it is about that snake. I met him in person at Tinley. He was fantastic. He was fantastic with Matt. And since he's been here, he and I just have not clicked. And he just doesn't want me to hold him. He'll let me move him quickly to clean him. He huffs a little bit and protests, but he actually just took a shot at me there on the floor and then tried to run and get under the rack. I had him in the quarantine room for a while. Figured I'd move him into here once he hit through quarantine, and maybe it would change a little bit with the change of smells and environment. Same thing. He just doesn't get on the same page with me, so I don't know what it is. And it's one of those things that I've seen with animals that I've sold too, where they're fantastic with me and they're not fantastic where they go. Sometimes, when we breed animals, all they know is our routine, how we do things, and simple things in how I just held that snake could be different than what Matt did. And so he could be used to getting held a certain way, and now he doesn't like how I hold him. My body temperature could be different, and I could be putting out a different feeling to him. It could be warm and uncomfortable, whereas maybe Matt's a cooler guy. Yeah, so you just never know with animals, and that's why it's hard with people, because they'll go, oh, is it tame? It's tame with me. Might not be tame with you. There is no guarantees. There's certain animals that you feel bomb-proof with, where just no situation really rattles them, but not all animals are like that. And so sometimes it's tough. And I've sold some animals to very, very experienced keepers that Josh has a side swipe from me, and the thing is an absolute piece of fucking shit with him. I mean, terrible. You can't touch that snake without it coming back around and hitting you like 6 times. There's no way to pick it up without getting bit. It just flops and flies teeth everywhere. And that's a snake that used to just sit in my hands when I had it. I don't know. And I can't even touch it at his place. So it just whatever, something changed in the move. Rob had a snake from me that was the same thing, where I have pictures and videos of that snake sitting on my shoulders, great, and hated Rob for like a year and a half, and just now is finally like an adult and finally tolerating him. And even now, like I just went up and saw him this past weekend, and even now he's still a huffy animal where he's just iffy every time you go in the cage. So it's really, really weird how you can't really predict how they're going to be once they leave where they're comfortable. And it's not anything that people do on the other end necessarily. Sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's just just something about that place that doesn't vibe. What are you doing? Hey. Why are you being crabby now too? Does everybody hate me today? Piece of something on my hand. Figured I'd take this little guy out. Apparently everybody's in a mood. But you guys have seen this dude a few times. I just really like him. He's just so electric and cool that I can't stop messing with him. But apparently he was just super pissed that I messed with him. He ate, but probably 3 or 4 days ago. I don't even know what today is. Thursday? Probably either Sunday or Monday I fed him. I don't remember. I shipped out on Wednesday, so probably Monday. And I don't even remember what I fed him. Probably just a little rat or something. I thought a bunch of different stuff. I thought quail, chicks, rats, mice. And I'll have certain babies that will only take certain things, but babies like him, that's not picky. He just gets whatever I grab him. That way he gets a variety of prey items as he's growing up. But he's just really cool. Yeah, just it's one of those things where you just can't really, you can't really know. And then sometimes you'll have a snake for 10 years and all of a sudden something changes and it just doesn't tolerate what it used to tolerate, or it used to be a bag of shit and now it's great. Ethel, knock on wood, has been great for the last like 4 or 5 weeks now. after I just blasted her on fucking YouTube. Maybe she took it personal. But before I went on vacation, and since I've been home from vacation, she's let me just pick her up without incident. I haven't needed any tools. I haven't needed to be careful. She's barely huffed and puffed. I was joking with her. I thought maybe she was on her deathbed, but she's still eating, and she was very, very amped up on Tuesday for food. I barely got the food in there before she tried to take me out. Not coming after me. She just wanted the food really bad. Those of you that keep short tails know they can be absolutely crazy. Hey, Rich, what's going on? I was just discussing, getting rid of tux and incognito and letting people know I'm not, changing anything. It was just the right thing to send them back to Kara. And then just playing with some Borneos. My T positive 007 tried to put a hit out on me. But yeah, I don't know what it is about snakes, and I don't think we know enough to know why those things happen. Sometimes I think as they age, just like certain people, some people get older and get more crabby. Some people get older and get friendlier. So I don't know what it is. I don't know what chemically goes on. Environmentally, if there's things that we don't pick up on that they do. But you never know. Like I said, Ethel's been an absolute angel, and she's been the devil for years. But Ethel at one point was pretty good. The girl that had her before me actually used her in programs on occasion, but she was known for when she had enough was enough, and that was it. So even when she used her for programs, she wasn't just passing her off to strangers. She was in control because you couldn't trust Ethel to that level. Oh, buddy, that's not a real smart move on your part. Flopping around over here. Not flopping like to get away. He's just crawling and not paying attention like short tails do. But I'm really excited about this guy. I was actually talking to Kara. I sent her a picture of him earlier. We were talking Borneo projects and what I've got going on this year. And, I was talking about that. I might as well talk about it with you. My planned pairings right now, tentatively. No, I don't think the seasonal change has anything to do with it. Typically, if anything, this time of year, the females get edgier, especially if they start to cycle for breeding. And when I say edgier, it doesn't mean necessarily they're striking or anything, but you just notice a difference when you go into their cage, where maybe they're a little less patient, maybe they're more apt to huff than normal, maybe they're more, they're pacing their cage more and more active than normal. But I've never seen a female. I've seen females on eggs where they're nasty and then they're just like, take the eggs, I don't care. And I've seen females that are normally really nice defend their eggs, but I haven't seen one get nicer just because she's cycling for breeding. I've seen them get a little edgier. I lost my train of thought. Oh, Borneo projects. So my Borneo project plans for this year, I have 3 females that I want to do. Well, actually 3 pairings. All will be with different males. And it all depends. Right now, everybody's on schedule to run through. But if hey Sam, if I feel like anybody gets off track, then I'll just shelf that project for the season and go. I am planning on running Lilith back to back this year. I'm pointing over here because she's right above my head a little bit. Hi, bud. Don't bite me in the face, huh? That wouldn't be good for the channel. Hey, nasty snakes. So anyhow, sorry, I just got a text from my boss that I was reading as it came through. Yeah, he really is amazing looking. And what I'm going for with this, as I interrupt myself again, is that gray. I really like the grays. And so he's just starting to come into that gray. And that sibling of his that I posted on my community page there, in case you haven't checked that out yet, is a sibling of his that also just shed and is starting to really come into that gray. And it's funny because these guys are a little ahead of schedule than the last clutch I did with Lilith that did that. Those ones took about 2 years. So, I see that, Rich. So, this one's ahead of schedule with the gray, so I'm really excited. But I have an older sibling to this one, a 2017 male, who I'm hoping to put in the lineup this year, who's just absolutely incredible. He's been on the channel before. He's probably my favorite Borneo that I ever produced. This one may overtake that in a year or two, depending on how he develops. The way he's developing, he may well, even though that one's a side swipe and this one isn't to my knowledge. This is one of those ones I'm kind of dicey on, because you see there's a lot of void in the pattern there, but there is breakups. And I don't know if that's the Ultra interfering with the side swipe, or if it's just not side swipe and just has side swipe like traits. Kind of the fun part of breeding Borneos is figuring out what the fuck they are sometimes. So we'll see when he's old enough and he's breeding. But anyways, his older sort of 3/4 brother, I don't know exactly how to say it, but this guy's father was the son of the father to the others, and mom is the same. So I say 3/4, but I don't know if that's technically the right way to put it. Hi, Raiden. But anyhow, so Lilith is the one that throws all this gray stuff. And she's got gray on her. And she's pretty in my opinion, but she's not crazy like her babies are. So I'm just trying to unlock that. So my plan is, like I said, running her back to back this year because she went so early, because she's back up to weight and doing well. And then she'll have next year off regardless if she goes this year. But and then if I don't breed her this year, she'll go next year. I don't ever do 3 years in a row, 2 at most. And sometimes I'll do 1 year and 2 off. Just all depends on what projects I'm trying to line up and things like that. But anyhow, I want to put that older, sort of sibling to this guy to her and see what we can do with that gray, see where we can go with it. And I'm hoping that it'll be really cool. But Borneos like to do this thing where you have this vision in your head and they're like, haha, no, we're over here now. So we'll see. And then if all goes as planned and they go this year, which would be great, then Lilith will be off the following year. And then the year after that, hopefully this guy would be ready and I would run him to her. That's the perfect scenario in the perfect world. So I can see what this gray does to each other and then hold back babies from that and, keep going. And at some point I need to find a snake outside of this bloodline that has similar qualities and see, if I can put that into that, or just outcross and try to get the gray to follow into the outcross babies and eventually pull it back together somewhere. So there's different ways that I can go about doing it, all depending on what comes to fruition out of those pairings. Otherwise, Electra's over here, and I plan on running her to Orion if they're ready to go. Orion being the father to these guys here. And he's been on the channel, so you guys know him. Electra was on there once with Incognito in a Enjoying Our Animals video, I think. But Orion to Electra, and Orion is Electra's son. And I'm trying to work on the side color on those, which Astra and Callisto have really amazing side colors. But they're both female, so I can't put them back to the source of that color, which is Electra. Orion's side color is really, really good, but it's not quite as good as those two girls. So we're going to try running him back to mom and see if we can magnify that a little bit more. And then for the third pairing that I'm hoping to do my Blue Ghost male to one of my Blue Ghost females who's actually up there. Blue Ghost male's over there. He's the male that I did in the last live video I showed you. I'm hoping to put him to her. So that'll be the 3 Borneo pairings that I'm looking at doing this year. There's an off chance my Super Stripe female's ready, that I might run something to her. My original plan was to breed my Ocelot to her, but I really hate my Ocelot. He's just such an asshole that I don't even know if I want more babies from him. I hate to say that I hate an animal, but he's just so hateful. And there's no, there's hateful where it's cute and it's endearing, and then there's hateful where it's just a constant barrage of teeth and shit and thrashing every single time I touch that animal. And he's gotten worse as time goes on. He doesn't get better. I tried standing in there and taking the bites. I tried working slowly with him. He's one of those animals that there's just a wall. And so we'll see what happens. Obviously he gets the same care, he gets the same food, he gets everything, but the only way you'll ever see him on the channel is if I can get him outside. So probably next year, probably not this year unless I have a warm day. but he's just unmanageable indoors. I remember probably a year and a half ago, maybe, I did a Facebook Live where I took him out. And I made the mistake going, wow, I've made it like 30 seconds and he hasn't freaked the fuck out. And then he went ballistic at like second 45 and thrashed and smashed his head off the fucking rack and did what he does. Thank you. Yeah, let's see. Well, Lilith is a name I picked. Electra's name I changed to Electra. That's an animal Kara produced originally and was known as Maisie. So if you look back on the blood cell stuff and you see Maisie, that's Electra is the same thing. That wasn't a name that I really was fond of, so I changed it. Incognito was Kara named, Sambuca, Tux. Those names came from her and I kept those names. Raiden I named. Voodoo Queen, Morticia I named. Orion, Callisto, Astra's all me. Ron Burgundy, Charlie Murphy's me, all different stuff. My male white lip is I just call him Eddie for Venom, which is kind of tough because he's such a nice snake, but he's black and white and just fit. Plus Venom's a pretty cool character, even though I'm not a big comic book person or anything like that. But yeah, so that's the Borneo projects. Raiden, I'm definitely pairing up this year to something. Ideally, I'm hoping that T-positive 007 is ready. He's a little on the small side. He's old enough to go, but bloods just go when they go. So even though he's old enough, he may not. I still have this guy out, by the way. He's just chilling. Even though he's old enough to go, sometimes they don't go. Ron Burgundy's 4, and he still hasn't gone for me yet. So that guy's only 2. Who knows? So if he goes, that would be ideal. Well, it's not like only one person can use a name. But yeah, I don't know how long. I don't know how long I've had Electra for. I think I got her around 2014, 2015. Well, let's see. Orion is a 2016 animal. So I would have had to have Electra in 2015 to breed her. So I probably got her either late 2014 or early 2015. Because I got her first, and then I got Spot On, and ended up breeding Spot On to her. But I had her before I got Spot On. So I don't know how long she's been here, but definitely longer than you've had yours. So I'm good. I didn't steal the name, jerk. Probably my biggest regret, I sold the snake, Akasha, and the person kept the name, so I feel like I can't use it. But I really liked that name for Sumatran Shorttail. It really fit well. But she was a holdback that I had to sell. Oh no, Nagini, oh my God. There's so many jokes and memes about that, and rightfully so. I think the most common snake to die is Nagini for sure. You name it that, and there's just like a fucking 72% chance that thing's dead within a year. Sorry to those people that have Naginis, but every fucking post in every group, rip Nagini, rip Nagini. It's like, cool, great job, guys. Killing them. But yeah, so those are I want to breed Raiden. Ideally the T-positive 007. She's T-positive matrix. So that's a pairing where I can get T-positives, T-positive ivories, T-positive golden ivories, T-positive golden eyes, T-positive 007s, T-positive matrix. There's all kinds of stuff that can come out of that mix. The odds were not in my favor the last time I bred her a couple years ago. That's when I got 16 eggs and only 2 were T-positive ivory from doing T-positive matrix to T-positive matrix. I was definitely hoping for at least like 4 or 5. No. So I got 2, which is the male and female that I have. So that's the plan there if he's ready. If he's not ready, I may try my T-positive Batik, who's also about the same age, a little bit smaller. And then I could make, all kinds of different stuff there as well with, you know, T-positive Petites, T-positive Matrix mixed together, you know, gives you a few options. So that could be it. And then worst case scenario, I do have my T-positive Matrix male, and I can always run him to her again. But she's primed, she's ready to go. She's literally sitting right here watching me, which is very common for her. She's very, very observant at everything that I do. Her and I used to have a great relationship. Now we're okay. Ever since she laid eggs, she's been a little different of an animal. So, you know, you just work out. I'm wondering how the baby with the kink is doing. The baby with the kink is doing okay. No issues, but it's not feeding yet. And I'm not sure that it is going to feed. You can see when I put food to it, you know, even frozen thawed, you can see the trigger in its head where it wants to strike the food. You can see it's interested, but it just doesn't. And sometimes I think with those animals, there's a sense in them that they just know that they can't. I don't know how to explain it in a way that makes sense, but I've seen it with other animals in the past that have issues where they just seem to know they shouldn't eat. And, you know, a lot of those animals you'll end up like assist feeding and then they drop dead 2 days later because their digestive system just can't handle it. I don't think he would have digestive issues, but that's a tough spot to pass food. So I don't really think I don't think it's going to work out. Nice. I honestly have seen about 5 minutes of Harry Potter. My friends dragged me to the movie theater, and I don't know which one it is because there's like 900 of those fucking movies. All I know is the part that I woke up in the theater to, they're in like a circle and there's dragons flying around. So if that answers that. I know most Harry Potter people know right away, like, oh, that's, you know, Cuba Gooding Jr., whatever the fuck it's called. But yeah, I'm not a Harry Potter person, so I've never seen those movies besides that 5 minutes that I woke up and then went back to sleep in the theater, which I told them I was going to do. I'm like, I'm not interested in this movie at all. I'm going to fall asleep. And those theater seats recline and the AC is on. It's nice. Nice nap. So I don't know how long the movie was, but I probably slept for an hour or 2 hours, whatever it was. So I definitely recommend those movies for that because that was some of the best sleep I've had. Yeah, so I don't know much beyond that. You know, I have my Dio, who's one of my favorite singers of all time. So I have a Dio. And then who else do I have? You know, I don't know if Rob's ocelot has a name, and that's a snake I have never shown on the channel that I could. So let me grab her, because she's really fucking cool. She's the opposite of my ocelot. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not judging it. I don't know, it just doesn't interest me. And it's not like I don't like other similar things. Like, I like Lord of the Rings, and, you know, I like Star Wars, or I don't know if that would be considered similar or not, but I don't know, it just never appealed to me. Appealed. Still learning English. It's a new language for me. I've only been doing it for like 36 years, so cut me some slack. Now, I know I fed her a few days ago. Hi, no, you're not eating again. It's not how this works. Hi, baby girl. Here, you come out and meet the YouTube people. Listen, I just said you're really nice, so don't prove me wrong. So this, you guys know Rob Christian, I've done a couple videos with. This is his ocelot female. Very, very cool animal. She's been here for the most part for like the last 2 years. She ended up going back for a little while and then came back here. I bred her to my ocelot male. We got a clutch. Rob has 2 spectacular holdbacks from that. Kina has a baby from this female in that pairing. Hi. But she's so sweet. Like, if I was doing this with my ocelot right now, I would have been bit at least 7 times by now. I would have been shit on, sprayed in the mouth. He would have thrashed all over, knocked the phone over, beaten his head off the cages. Like, he just sucks. But she's so sweet, and she's such a good girl. And I forgot, as I'm talking about Borneo pairings, we'll be pairing her up this year. That's the whole reason she's here. But considering she's not my female, it just didn't really register to me on my list. But she'll be going hopefully to Orion, and I want to see what Sideswipe and Ocelot does together. And so it was an opportunity to do that. To my knowledge, no one's done that pairing. What are you doing? I know Minatola has a Sideswipe male now, so I don't know what his plan is with it. I've never talked to him about it. Might be something he's looking to do. Yeah, I used to be fluent in Spanish too, but I haven't. I don't have anybody to speak with, and I haven't used it in years, so most of that's long gone. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to her. I'm gonna put her back in her cage. All right, hang on. You got my arm wrapped up. Give you a little bit of a water refresher while I'm in here. A little spritz. I change their water often, but short-tails love fresh water. So if I'm in their cage, even though it just got changed the other day, I'll just add a little bit of water to it too. Just spritz it up, freshen it up. And you'll find a lot of times they'll go right over and drink fresh water. So I always try, if I'm in there, to do that. The babies, their dishes are so small and I change them so many times that I don't do that as often. But with the bigger stuff, I do that quite a bit. Trying to think. Super Strike Girl's been on the channel. But yeah, so I'm going to do that Borneo project. As far as Sumatrans go, I think Sambuca is likely the only one. Maybe Black Magic will come on late, get those hips going, and we might throw Midnight Rider in there with her and see how those come out. She's not dark like Incognito was dark. She's dark, and she's what most people would consider very dark, but having had one of the nicest Sumatran short-tails out there breeding for the last, 5 years or whatever it was, everything's compared to them. I do have some that are going to probably, go beyond and be nicer. But as of right now, they're not quite there yet. Let me see. You see me getting the hook, which is not actually for the snake. It's to open the tub because Sumatrans like to come out and take my fingers. Oh, I just fed you, huh? Yeah, I forgot. I was going to take Morticia out, but I forgot I just fed her on Tuesday, so I'm not going to take her out right now. But she's going to be really dark. Well, she already is really dark. So I'm hoping next year she'll be in the breeding rotation. Midnight Rider would be going to her. Now with Tux gone, Tux was kind of my frontline Sumatran male. Midnight Rider obviously produced this new clutch. And actually, I'm not even thinking about it. Who the hell over there is being a jerk? You guys were asking about this baby. I might as well just take him out while I'm in here. So this is that kinked baby you guys were asking about. And you can see that kink's in a pretty gnarly spot right there on his neck. And it's fused pretty good. So I don't see him passing food really well. And you can see how it kind of messes with his mobility a little bit. So I think, unfortunately, he's probably going to be a fail to thrive baby that I'm going to have to euthanize. I'll give him another couple of weeks, give him an opportunity to see if he wants to eat. Like I said, he hatched on his own, but that's so fused that as he grows, I think it's going to be problematic, which is unfortunate. I want them all to win, but they don't always. Yeah, it is a very tough decision. It's not one that I take lightly. And it stinks. He's a really nice animal. He's nice looking. He's friendly. He's nice and alert. He gets around. He drinks. He does everything he needs to do. But I don't think that's very comfortable. I think it's a really bad fuse. And it's just bad luck for him. Sometimes nature is cruel. And So though I will probably get to a point where I'll have to euthanize, I will not enjoy it. It will not be something I'll be happy to do. The same with me. I don't know. Um, you know, like I said, the fact that everything seems normal behaviorally with him. He doesn't do anything out of the ordinary. Um, Obviously, they take 3 to 6 months to have their first shed, so it's not like he had that first shed out the gate, and I could see like, oh, he can't even shed right, things like that. So you don't get that opportunity with these snakes, which is unique as far as pythons go. That takes so long. Everything else sheds within the first couple of weeks. He would have shed already now, and we would know. But it doesn't seem to me like he's in any pain or anything like that. Thanks. Shirts from Reptile Bliss. I don't know if they're on YouTube. I think so. I know they're on Facebook and all that stuff. But yeah, I definitely, I don't know. So I don't know what's going to happen with that baby. But it's a part of breeding and something we have to deal with. If you're going to create life, sometimes you have to be prepared to take it when necessary for the right reasons. I'm rooting for him. I hope he gets it figured out, and I'm hoping, you know, he passes food, does great, looks good. You know, all that. Obviously, he goes to the bathroom fine. There's no kinking anywhere else. I took out Rob's adult ocelot female that's here just a few minutes ago. I switched Black Magic into an upgrade into a Christmas tree bin. I took out some of the little guys. I just fed a bunch of snakes, so I haven't been able to take out as much as I'd want to. You might have missed it, but this will upload by tomorrow. It'll be available. It usually takes all night for it to do it, at least from what I can see on my end. Oh yeah, definitely small meals. I've been offering that snake smaller meals than normal, which is tough because usually a slightly oversized meal will stimulate more of a food response, but in that case you can't do that. You know, too large of a meal I know would be a problem for sure, because that thing's going to have to go around a more narrow corridor than normal. And for all we know, that corridor may not even exist. And so, you know, the good news is they survive a couple of months without any food. So at this point, he's good to go. I don't remember which female you were talking about. There's two that are very similar. Both of them ate the other day, but one of them regurged, which is the first time that's happened. And she regurged the meal that she had just eaten, and then there was like a piece of the previous meal that came up with it. I'm assuming it could have come out the other end. I don't know for sure. Sometimes you get those like in-between things where it kind of looks like it could have been crapped out and just not fully digested, or it could have been a regurg. And because the other mouse was regurged, you know, obviously the whole thing smelled like regurg, so I couldn't smell it and tell the difference. But we'll give her a couple of weeks without food. I don't know why she regurged. There's no reason environmentally. There's no reason she should have. It wasn't too large of a meal. You know, and I just left it on the floor in there and she ate it. So it wasn't like there was any stress involved in the eating process. So hopefully it was just a random thing. But as I discussed earlier, sometimes snakes with eating problems, there's stuff going on in their system that we're not aware of. And now that she regurged, that's a concern to me that maybe something else is going on there. So we'll see. And then the other one ate a quail and digested fine. So that's where that's at. Like I said, I don't remember which one you looked at. The one that regurged, because there's two that look kind of similar. The one that regurged was later on in the video. The other one would have been like the first one I would have talked about, likely, or the first one from that clutch. because one's baby 1, one's baby 6. And then I think baby 4 is the only one in between 1 and 6 that was available. So there would have been one baby in between those two. And that's the guy that I posted on the community page that looks amazing, is baby number 4. So let me see how he is. He can be moody sometimes. Especially because I've been bothering him to take those pictures. Yeah, you look pretty pissed off. You want me to hold you? Yeah, you're right. That's him right there that I put up on that community page. The lighting in here is bad, so it's not really going to show him off all that great. But he's going to be smoking. He's got that gray coming in. He's got such nice dorsal striping. This is a snake that I think has a lot of value to breeding, especially because I expect that to all really gray out. You know, I really, really do. It's already pretty gray early on. And plus the dorsal striping, plus that tail suggests a lot of, you know, there must be probably some ultra running around in there. He almost looks like a low-level ultra, but just a little bit different. So there's probably, you know, ultras in the parents, both parents, so it's probably floating around in here regardless. But I would say this is a snake, if you put into an ultra project, would probably enhance that. Any stripe project would enhance that. If this was a female, I would just keep this animal because of that gray project that I'm working on. But I already have that male that I just showed you, his sibling there, that I like a little bit better. And then I have that really cool male from 2017 that I'm trying to get into the rotation. And plus I still have Orion and all kinds of stuff that would be ahead of him on my depth chart. So if it was a female, yeah, great. But being a male, he's kind of an odd man out here. So hopefully somebody with half a sense of Borneos will pick him up and do some good things with him, because I think he's got a lot to add to the right projects. But so far, nothing. He just sits here, homeless, sad, eating me out of house and home. And he eats anything. He does not care. You know, he just ate a few days ago as well. Let's see if there's anything else I want to grab out while I'm in here. Like I said, most of these things have eaten, so I can't really show them off much. I showed off that baby Sumatran. Here. Hi. What's up? You're dirty. This is a girl that I just love to no end. Callisto, you guys have seen her a ton. She's just a fucking smoke show. She's actually really dull right now. Yeah, you're talking quite a bit, huh? You gonna talk some shit? She's probably going into shed just based on how dull she is. But that yellow, even with her being dull, you can see is just really cool. What? What? And she's got a lot of characteristics from her mother, the super pink sides on her head, which won't really show up very well on here. Even her yellow's not showing up real well. But she's just such a great animal that I love dearly. One of those animals I'm really proud to have produced, and glad that I picked the right holdback and kept her, because she is incredible. So I'm looking forward to hopefully next year having her in position to be breeding. What male I'm going to put to her, who knows? That'll probably be a decision I make at that time, kind of thing. You're like right where I can't get you without you causing me a problem. It's funny, even snakes that are tame and nice, when they're in certain positions in their cage, I won't pick them up from that position just because I can only get to them where I'm creating a potential for conflict for them to feel like they have no choice but to defend themselves. And she's sitting in one of those positions, so I'm just going to use this to reposition her a little bit and make sure that we don't have an issue. You know, she's not an animal that's ever struck at me or anything like that, but, you know, knowing these animals and knowing how they're wired, sometimes you have to adjust in order to do things appropriately to put them in a position for success as well as yourself. So, this is Callisto's sister Astra here, also with the great yellow. Awesome tail contrast. This lighting sucks in here, but I know I've done videos with her outside, so you guys have seen her and seen pictures. I've got to beef her up a little bit because I want her to be ready for next year. She's a little on the small side, especially considering her mother's size, but dad was small, so we'll see. But she has a lot of characteristics of mom too, and she's a super great snake. Another one that I enjoy a great deal. So I think you guys have probably already seen a lot of her, but you'll be forced to deal with her constantly. I love the sides. Look at that. That black on yellow. And these, the inner part down there inside these circles gets real orange certain days, certain times of year. You could probably tell a little bit now. It's a little bit different than the yellow. It doesn't really pick up on here very good. But I've got some pictures of her when she's fired up nice, and it's like this just burnt orange color with the yellow. And she's just incredible. Another snake that I'm really proud to have produced, that I love working with every day. I never get sick of opening her cage and seeing her. I never get sick of taking her outside, shooting videos with her, whatever it is. She's just great. And like I said, you saw me get the hook for her. That's probably the first time I've ever used the hook, but she was just in a position where she was wedged side to side all the way in the back. So the only way I could have gone at her was right from her face. And I just don't like to do that to them because that's what a predator would do. And you don't want to trigger their instincts and get them in a position where they feel like they have to defend themselves, because more often than not, they're going to defend themselves. I think this tub is empty, right? Yeah. That was my male marbles tub. Rob and I are going to go after those cool marbles again this year. His female bounced back really nice. He's going to give her next year off anyhow to line up for a pairing he wants to do the following season. So we're going to try again. My male's already up there with him. I was just up there last Friday for Kevin's surprise birthday party. So I showed up with a snake to the surprise birthday party for Rob. And sent my male back up there again. He's been back with me, I don't know how long. He was back here for probably, I don't know, maybe 8 months. And off he went again, so he's back in New Hampshire. And hopefully he'll get the job done again this year with that female, because those babies are spectacular. Let me, actually, I'll grab you a marble here. Let me pick a random one. And I gotta look, because I moved them, and I don't know which ones are the males and the females now. Not that it matters, I'm not selling them, so I'll figure it out when they're adults regardless. But I have the two females and the two males next to each other on different rows. I just don't remember which ones are on top and which ones are on the bottom. But let me see, because some of them just shed. Okay. Oh, chill out. Oh, Borneos. I'm going to guess these are the males, because the female orange head is super laid back. I don't think it's her, but who knows. But this is from that pairing, from my marble male to his marble female. And nice orange head, which doesn't really show up very well in here with the lighting. Really nice side pattern, really nice marbles. These are like a step away from getting to extreme marbles. So that's why I held them back, hoping that eventually I can get into making some extreme stuff. These are right on the edge, and talking to like Matt and Keith and everything else. So I'm really excited to start messing with that stuff. And it kind of rejuvenated me on marbles, because marbles one of those things, like I see certain marbles, I'm like, wow, that's really cool, but you know, doesn't really wind my clock. My male marble's nice, but he's not like, holy shit, these babies are holy shit. So it really excited me for the project. Got me to where I'm going to get my female marble ready to go, because probably one of these males will go to her eventually. Yeah, I mean, this is just, I don't know how you could not like this snake. Everything about it. There's just so much going on. There's so many different layers and colors. It's just really cool. And the orange head doesn't hurt. Let me see. Put this one back. Oh, now you're going to throw a fit. Real cool. Jesus Christ. What the fuck did you do in here? Is this necessary? That is absolutely disgusting. I'm not even going to go back in that tub. I'm going to put you in a different one. Holy fuck. This one's like dripping disgusting. So this is the other, whether that's the male or the female, this is the other of the same sex. This one has more contrast, which is why I picked this one. So you see the tail color there. There's a lot more black, which doesn't really show up on here, which is super frustrating, as I can see it in person. But it's very, very black. It's a very dark black line. And then it still has the nice marbling sides. Different than the last one. I don't think either one are better or worse. They're just different. And each has its own interesting things. This one still has a pretty orange head too. Which tub am I going to put you in? Put you right up here. That's why I always have a clean tub ready to go, because that is fucking gross. Alright, who's down there? Oh, I gotta go up a level. It's funny because all the marbles just shed at pretty much the same time. So I think those two were the males, because I think this is the female that has been on the channel before that I did the video on. She's got different sides from the other two. So the other two I think had a lot more like pixelation going up a lot higher on the body. Hers stays a little bit lower, especially down there. She still has pretty nice tail contrast, but not quite as dark as the last male, presumably. I'll show you the other side of her here. The other side's a lot busier than the first side that I showed you. Also, she has a pretty orange head. Just really, really cool snakes. Very, very excited to work with these. Plus the back pattern, you can see there's even a lot going on up there. You know, a lot of different colors and melting into each other. Just really, really cool. Really, really cool. You go in there. Let's get baby marble number 4. So this one has the least orange head of the 4. You know, at least today, these guys can fire up and down, you know, you never know. So this is the last of the 4. I think this is the other female. And the temperament on these babies was fantastic. Even picking them out, for the most part, they were really great. You know, we shot a video with the marbles up at Nerd when they were only like a week old or so, and they were really, really patient. And her back pattern's really wild. She's got a lot of cool stuff going on. But yeah, all 4 of them just shed. All at the same time. And it's funny, I have siblings now that are 3 or 4 years old that shed within days of each other every time, no matter what feeding schedule I'm running. It's really wild how some of that stuff, you can trigger an animal with sheds, with like larger than normal meals or feeding more often, things like that. But if you keep everything pretty balanced, it's kind of amazing. It's like clockwork, and their body just goes into autopilot. So that's kind of an amazing thing that I noticed. But yeah, this one's got really cool stuff going on the sides. So we're definitely going to go after making these again. I know Rob sold one to somebody, and I know they're very happy with it, and how could they not be? I didn't sell any. I had 6 holdbacks. One, I didn't really show off much. She came out like really almost exanthic looking. Very, very small baby. Never ate. Just died pretty quickly. And then the other one was that one that got hard belly that I didn't catch in time. I was so excited to get them, I didn't even notice it. And I looked back at the pictures and it was super obvious, and I just didn't see it until it was too late to massage it out of there. So that male was definitely going to be a holdback. So that's why I didn't sell anything. I was probably going to look at that. That's crazy. I was probably going to let one go, but that kind of made me go, nope, I'm just going to keep the 2.2. Look at that. How can you not like that? I think you could be a person that's terrified of snakes and still think that's totally cool looking. I just don't even understand how, you know, like I'm terrified of spiders, but I can look at a cobalt blue and be like, wow, that's beautiful. It's fucking horrifying, but it's beautiful. Especially horrifying because those fuckers teleport and they're mean as fuck. But yeah, I don't know how you could look at that and not see the living art there and not see how cool that is. And like I said, I'm not a marble guy. This really rejuvenated. Obviously, the extreme marbles that Matt has, I've always liked. All right, let's not go full-blown Borneo, thank you. Sometimes you can back them down when they get to that point. Sometimes they're just too far gone. But oftentimes getting them a little bit more supported, making them feel a little more secure will slow them down in that thrashing. And you can feel their body tense up before they do it a lot of times. So, you know, being in tune with my animals, even though I'm paying attention and talking to you, I can still feel the subtle changes. And so that's why I'm able to adjust quickly and back that down with some animals. Some animals, once they get to that point, they're just too overstimulated and too overwhelmed. But I'm also holding the snake up and out, which is not something they really are fond of because I'm trying to show you how cool that pattern is. So hanging down like that is not a position that makes them comfortable. It doesn't hurt. I'm not hurting the animal, but it just makes them uncomfortable in a stability and safety sense because they're so terrestrial and so ground oriented. Look at that contrast. Definitely going to be some lookers. I can't wait to see what a year does to them. A couple more shed cycles. Put this one back because it's definitely getting more and more like, hey, I'm done. Had enough of your shit. Oh, sorry, dude. But yeah, so I'm very excited about those marbles. And obviously it's a couple to a few years before I'm doing anything with them breeding wise. I'll have that female definitely ready by the time those males are ready. She's old enough now, but I'll have her in prime condition when they're like 2 years old. And, you know, I'm not going to breed her to anything else other than a male from that. And she's siblings to the male, so that'll be somewhat related, but not super, super close. But it should be enough to get that extreme stuff to pop out. I'm hopeful anyway. And, you know, it's one of those things where time will tell. We'll see what happens. Who's in here? Bear with me a second. Oh, here we go. I know. I never know how you're going to be. You're one of those snakes that goes back and forth. Come on. So this is the female marble. She can be a little bit temperamental. So you can see she's fairly nice looking. And this might be what those babies kind of slowly develop towards. Something more like her. You know, I haven't raised marbles other than this pair. And I don't remember how they looked as a baby, although I don't think they were that nice looking. But I still think this to one of those males will probably yield something towards the extreme realm. She's a real hot and cold animal, though. You can even see she's not totally relaxed right now, and I'm keeping an eye on her in case she decides to come back for my face. She's had moments where she just is a shithead. And then she has moments like this where she's all right. But, you know, when animals are like that, I kind of just let them do their thing. And I don't really push anything on them, and that seems to keep us getting along well enough to do these videos. So let me put her back in her cage here. There you go. Hold on, I gotta rearrange your paper. She dragged it with me. So I'll cut that off there for tonight. That's a pretty long video, and we'll do a video on Saturday. It's going to be part 1 of a 2-part video. The video that we took in one of the venomous rooms at Generic with Eric took almost an hour, so I broke it up into 2 videos so people don't go, oh, it's too long. Although I can't win, because when I filmed with Rich, I was like, oh, let's try to keep it within this window of time. And people are like, I wish the video was longer. I'm like, well, you all complain that it's too long. And the thing is, obviously, with the channel being monetized, the more views and ad rolls you get, the more money it makes. And I've noticed when videos are longer, you don't get as many clicks because people look right at the outset and go, oh, it's an hour video, I don't have an hour. Even though that same person will then sit there on YouTube for an hour and a half, but they're jumping from thing to thing, and in their mind, they don't think that they have that hour to dedicate, so they don't even bother to watch it. Whereas the shorter videos, people will tend to watch, and they'll watch a higher percentage of them as well, because we get all that data and we look at all that stuff. So videos seem to do well between like the 10 and 25 minute mark seems to be where you get good traffic. Anything longer than that, unfortunately, just doesn't seem to draw people as much. So while I am doing this from the perspective of trying to educate and do all that, you know, obviously the more exposure it gets, the better, and the more people you reach. So if you're stopping people from clicking, then you're not accomplishing any of your goals. So I'm trying to keep them in that window. So I broke that up into a 2-part series. So it's like 26 minutes each or something like that. Very, very cool stuff over there. And it's been a while since I shot that video, so I'll be excited to go back and watch it myself. But you'll see several species of rattlesnakes. He has a boom slang. He has Jameson's mambas, I believe. I know they're green, but I don't remember if they're greens or Jameson's. Maybe they're greens. I think they're greens. They're small, and I'm not a venomous keeper, so I don't know. But I know I had the boom slang. There's some wrinkles cobras, which are spitting cobras. I actually got spit on shooting the video. Obviously, we were wearing eye protection, so we were good there. Which, you know, it's important to be safe. There's vipers, there's gaboons, there's, I don't know if I mentioned his Russell's viper. Some stuff you're just going to see in the cage. You know, stuff like Russell's vipers, they're a little wired. And so instead of taking it out with us in the room trying to film and everything else, we just filmed that one in the cage. The gaboons we left alone too, although you get a beautiful shot of the 2 of them sitting there in their leaf litter that he has set up for them. But his concern was his female's super food responsive, and they were sitting head to head. So he was worried when he went to drag the male out that the female would bite him and get him in the head. And so we just left them be. But we took out some Horridus, which is one of my favorite species. Probably my favorite venomous species. I love copperheads too. Any species of copperhead. He does have a copperhead, but he didn't. That one was in a different room, so we didn't get that one in this video. But yeah, definitely check out both parts of that. There's a lot of cool stuff. And he's a fairly knowledgeable guy on those animals, so he shares some good information there, and we'll go from there. So that'll be the next two weekends, and then I've got more stuff from Josh still. I have more videos with Dylan, some really cool stuff coming there. Josh, we did a video on Lacerdas, some videos on some of his tortoises and box turtles. Got one on his rhino iguanas. I don't know what else is left for him. I know I shot 7 videos with him. The ultras, tegus, and baby lizards is already up. Oh, we ultrasounded his coming eye female, young one, to see if she was ready to go. Pretty monitor. So that'll be up eventually. At Dylan's, we did a part 2 to the Burmese python video I did last time I was there, because a lot of people have requested that. That's the second most popular video on my channel behind my big T positive female. So, or second or third, it's right up there though. So we did a part 2 with that, but with different berms than we did last time. We didn't pull out any of the same ones to my knowledge. Infinity's in there, Greta's in there. Those of you that follow him know those two of his big girls that weren't available last time I was there because they were gravid. So they were in the video. His pied female, last time we did the pied male. And then, what the hell's the other video I did with Dylan? Oh, we did one on some colubrid species. So there's an indigo in there. There's hognose, Hondurans. I forget what else. And then there's a surprise guest at the end of that video, which is a very requested venomous snake of his that we hadn't done previously in any of the videos I did. So that'll be there. And I think that's it for content that I have in advance. Everything else will be what I film from here on out. And I'll get back to doing the Meet the Collection segments at some point, so you guys can continue to learn each individual animal and whatever else. And I'll find some ones that you haven't seen yet and keep going down the collection. So thank you everybody for checking this out. Let me check one last time if I missed anything. I'm sad on Incognito, but it's a tough situation because I'm super happy that she's back with Kara, but it's also super hard personally because I love that animal. That's an animal that I would literally lay down my life for without any question, not even think twice about it. Like that was my girl. So it's very hard. Tux, I love Tux, but I was actually talking about that to Kara today when we were chatting. I just never connected with him on the same level. Tux is a much more independent animal. So he's an animal that will let you pick him up. He's great. He's never struck at me. He's never done anything like that. He's a great animal. Great breeder. Great breeder. Eats everything. Healthy. No complaints with Tux at all. But he's just one of those snakes where over the last 6 years that I had him, probably 5 or 6 moments where we really connected at all. Whereas Incognito, every time that I worked with that snake, it was just a privilege. It was just a symbiotic relationship where we were both getting something out of it. And she was as interested at coming out and exploring and doing things as I was seeing her. So it was much more of a good working relationship, much more personable. So that made it that much harder with her. But, like I said, I can't get into the personal reasons of why that happened. Not personal on my end, on the other end, but it was the right decision, 150%. Just being a decent person and Kara being somebody that's so important to me. All this stuff that I'm doing, would I have eventually gotten here? Maybe. But she was a huge part of me getting to where I am. She's been, a friend, a sister, a mother. She'll tell me when I need to stop buying stuff. She'll tell me when, yes, you're stupid if you don't. She tells me, my personal life when I'm being stupid with girls or whatever else. So she's a very important person to me, and it was the right thing to do for her. And I'll go out there and visit those snakes and see them, and I'll still be able to purchase babies from her or whatever, when it comes down the line. And she actually purchased a baby from me, from Incognito, a Midnight Rider. She's one of the people that was on that list forever. So she got a baby male that went out with them as well. So I look forward to hopefully that animal, impacting her collection in the future and, doing some things for her. But yeah, it was tough, but it was also the right thing to do. Longer videos are Good for info, don't for those of us who are never. Yeah, it's tough because you ultimately can't make everybody happy. So what I need, I guess editing would probably cut the videos down in time so you could get more in less. But I also feel like you lose something with editing. I feel like, not that editing is dishonest, because it's not. I mean, I'm not saying people edit to do whatever, but I feel like part of what I want to show on my channel is how we can interact with these animals and how, you know, we can get over small hurdles with them while we're handling. We can have positive interactions. And I feel like if you're shooting a video and it's edited, then people that are skeptical are going to think like, oh, maybe the snake bit him and he cut that out. With these live videos or with videos where it's just shoot and go, you guys know I'm not cutting that. And I've never, ever, ever not used content because of how a snake behaved in a video. I've not used content because I was like, I look like a fucking idiot. I just didn't like, you know, sometimes I get off talking and it gets too convoluted to where I feel like the information isn't helpful because it's confusing in how I'm getting there. Because I'm thinking on the fly and just pulling this stuff out of my head. Sometimes you don't pull from the right place at the right time. So I have not used videos for that reason, but never because of the animals. Yeah, editing is time consuming from what I understand, and I'm also really tech stupid. I mean, I've had a smartphone now for like 5 years and I still don't understand how to use it. So I don't think that that's in my future. I would like to eventually figure out how to edit enough so maybe I could do like an intro or something just to kind of get a little continuity for people or whatever. You know, do a 30-second intro or something that's just got some cool pictures or whatever, but that's so far over my head and that's not in the immediate future. But yeah, like Eric started off really strong on YouTube and now he hasn't posted any videos because he's like, I don't have time to edit. And it's a shame because people were learning and he was building up followers and building up a good channel, and now because of time it's not happening. And so I don't want to lose that either, and I am extremely busy. Like, I'm starving right now. I haven't eaten yet, so I need to go do that, and I don't even know what time it is because my phone is my clock. But doing this definitely takes away time that I could be cleaning my house, cleaning snakes. I could be doing other things, which is why the live videos, you know, eventually if I got better lighting in here, I'd like to just sit in here and clean and you guys can see snakes while I'm cleaning and I can talk. But my setup's just not real conducive to that right now. I actually brought a second light in here today, which is why it's as bright as it is. I stole the light out of my other snake room and brought it into this one, so both snake room lights are in here. The rest of the snakes are living in total darkness right now for the moment. Not that they wouldn't normally be at this time anyways. All right, let me see what else I missed. Yeah, so also too, I know I put it up in the community section and now it's so late most people will probably miss this, but I did add memberships to the channel. And I guess people on iPhones, if you're going to join from an iPhone, it's a little bit tougher than Android or than a computer, which I learned today because somebody was having trouble and then we figured that out. And the one time that I checked from somebody else's phone, I checked from an Android, so I thought I just couldn't see it because it's my own channel. But it turns out it's a little bit harder to join on iPhone. But, you know, several people have joined that. And I'm giving it a little bit of time for more people to join, and then I'm going to start pumping some content on there. Justin, I'm going to mute you. I don't care if you're a member. I'll figure out how to like hit a button or whatever it is. Yeah, so anyhow, I'm going to try my best to put some really cool content out for that without stripping away what I'm doing over here. So for people that are breeding and want a little bit more of an inside look at the breeding stuff, that's definitely the place to go for that, because I'm going to put a lot more of that stuff on there as I'm pairing up snakes. Here's what I'm pairing for. You know, I'll get in there with the specific animals. I'll show how I set them up to pair, animals that you should watch versus ones you can kind of set and forget. So all that kind of stuff will be much more in depth on there, especially going into breeding season. I figured that was the perfect opportunity to dump that information to people that are going to be streamlined and want to listen to it. So that'll be over there. And I tried to set the price points really low on that. So definitely check that out if that's something that's in your future. Obviously, if you're not interested in breeding at all or learning more about that, there'll still be some other cool content over there, but that'll probably be the focus now for the next few months while it's breeding season. Um, and then I'll share some stuff first there. I will. There's a list of what you get, with that stuff, and I don't even remember it because I did it like 4 times before I finally figured out how to put it through. Um, there's some stuff depending on which level. Like if you're going to buy from me, you get shipping discounts. You get first opportunity at certain animals that come available. So I'm trying to do as much as I can for that, and hopefully that'll grow and it helps me, keep the lights on kind of thing, because this is breeding snakes is really not the answer for being totally sustainable. Yes, it's a hobby that can pay for itself, but like Josh said when I was down there, he basically breeds lizards to pay for breeding snakes. The snakes don't really make enough money to justify it, but the lizards make him a lot more, and so he's able to keep working with the snakes too. Lizards are his true passion too, but the tegus and the monitors especially, he said if he was just in it for the money, all he would do is monitors because they're just a home run for him because he really has it dialed in and knows what he's doing. Probably not so for the average person because monitors are prolific, but if you don't set them up right and you're not feeding them properly and doing things properly, they can be problematic. But if you once you get it down, he's had great success with it, so that's really cool to see, especially for such a great guy. What just passed through? Yeah, absolutely. I would consider myself semi-successful at breeding snakes, and I still can't pay my bills. So, if that goes to show you anything, and I am not, oh, I just see somebody joined, it showed me, so welcome. Thank you. I'm not a cheap person. Like I'll spend money on snakes and, if I'm dating somebody, I try to pay for everything, stuff like that. I'm not cheap like that. I don't skimp on products that are good for the animals or I don't skimp on vet care. But when it comes to stuff for myself, I am cheap as cheap gets. Cheap food. I'll go out and bargain shop for groceries. I buy a $2,000 car and I try to drive that thing for 10 years if I can. I just bought a first flat screen a few years ago. Like I was using my tube TV that I bought mowing lawns when I was 14 for the last 20 years. Like the color was out on it. All my furniture is stuff that I found for free or whatever. I didn't buy it. Like I am super frugal, and I still can't pay my bills. So if you think breeding snakes is going to make you a lot of money, think again. It's a great hobby. I love it. I'm not discouraging anybody, but don't get in it for monetary reasons because it'll be a huge, huge mistake. And I talk about the home runs like Incognito where the bang for the buck is ridiculous, but then there's 50 snakes around here that have never made me $1, so well, that one has to cover that 50, or that 4 or 5 that are real money makers have to cover the 50, 60, 70, whatever. You're constantly upgrading equipment, you're constantly spending money, and that's if everything goes perfect. Animals get sick, you can run up thousands of dollars in vet bills very quickly, especially with exotics. Exotics are not cheap. Just to get a culture done on a snake where I go, $305. That doesn't include the $95 to walk in the door. That doesn't include the medication. That doesn't include anything else. That's just the culture. So, the last time I had to take this lovely lady down here to the vet, it was like almost $1,000 and they couldn't even conclude anything. I ended up treating her myself. So that was $1,000 of just pissing in the wind. Incognito by Light was cheap when I took her in. I'm pointing over there and she's gone. So used to her being right there. But, that was the $75 office visits, all they charged me. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with her, and she healed herself within a couple of weeks anyways. She was just my pride and joy, and I wasn't going to take any chances. Normally, with that same thing with a normal snake, to be honest, I would probably give it a week and see how it healed on its own. But she was just too important to me. I wasn't taking any chances, and waiting a week really wouldn't even be taking a chance given what was going on. But still, I said, no, I'm taking her. I want that peace of mind that she's okay. And if you're a person that has 1 or 2 snakes or something, I don't even recommend waiting that week, take them. But, you know, I've been keeping snakes for almost 20 years. I've seen stuff like that before. You know, and I talked to half a dozen people about it to get their opinions, and all of them were like, oh, I'd give it some time and see what happens. So it wasn't like I'm saying something out of left field, you know. And even though I felt that way initially, I wanted to reach out to other people too, because no matter how much we know, you get personally involved, you get personally invested. So it's always good to get some outside opinions from those people in your circle that you really trust, that have, you know, knowledge on par with what you do or beyond that. And so I think some people get too big of a head too quick and forget to do that, or feel like they don't have to do that. I think that's important to always recognize that, you know, even people that might not have as much experience as you can teach you something. So always be looking to learn from anybody. Take everything you see with a grain of salt, and do your own research as much as you can. So we'll see you guys. I need to eat something, or I'm going to get super crabby. Let me just see what flashed through here. Yeah, I mean, that would be, I'm not sure what you laughed at, Elizabeth. I'm sorry, I missed that. Glad I'm not trying to get into it on my own. I got a better half that is way smarter than that. Yeah, that doesn't hurt at all. I'm weird. I don't know if I could date somebody that was into snakes as much as I am. I think that would be a problem for me, because one, you don't have that voice that says, hey, shit's getting too crazy. You lose that balance. And two, I'm like really particular about my animals. So A, I don't really want somebody else doing something out of the routine that I do it. What's going on, man? You know, I have my system. I move through snakes in a certain way. That's why you saw me using so much hand sanitizer, going from snake to snake. I normally don't do that. I normally stay in one area, clean, wash up, go to another area, clean, wash up, so that even though they're in the same room, there's like almost little quarantine zones. You know, and I still hand sanitize within those quarantine zones, you know, a couple of times while I'm cleaning. That's why each animal that was from a different zone, I went over and did that, just to be on the safe side. And then the second part, to me, not sure if I could be with somebody that was that into it, is I don't ever want to blame somebody else for something that happened with one of my animals. I don't want you to go into a cage and leave it open, the animal gets out and dies or something, or you forget to put water in the thing when you cleaned it and the animal dehydrates and dies or gets sick. I don't want to be in a position where I resent that person for that. And as much as I'd like to say like I wouldn't and I would be objective, I think that I would, because these animals are so important to me and they mean so much to me that I think that I would be too emotionally invested to look at it logically and reasonably. So I think for me, it would be best to have somebody that supports me in this hobby and doesn't mind being around them, but not somebody that's going to go in independently and mess with them. I think that would just set up too much potential conflict for me. And I just don't think that I would like that. We'll see. I've never dated anybody that was that into them. I had one ex that was like, oh, do you want me to get naked and like take a snap? I'm like, no, I don't. I don't want to mix those two avenues of my life. I'm not interested in a threesome with my snake ever. So that was a really weird thing. Glad we're not together anymore. There was a couple of weird things that went on in that one. That was many years ago though. But, so you guys welcome. Can't get content like that other places. But, yeah, so I think that would be the best case scenario for me. And who knows, maybe I find somebody and they're on the same page and it works out great. But I think right now I'm going to stay single for life because I just don't have the energy to go through everything that a relationship brings anymore. Kind of dead inside to that aspect of life, I think. I tried this year to date and it just didn't work out for me. Just wasn't feeling it. I just kind of good where I'm at. Leave it at that. But thank you guys again for tuning in. I'm going to cut this short. I'm going to go get some food. To those of you that might have missed part of the stuff, when it goes up tomorrow or wherever it becomes available to you, feel free to go back and watch. Watch it as many times as you like. Don't forget, like I said, the membership program. Check that out if you haven't seen it yet. And if you are on an iPhone and having trouble, reach out to me and I can try to walk you through that. Thank you. I can't. Is it Teganram? I'm probably butchering that. I got a little tiny word that I'm trying to read, but thank you for joining. I appreciate that. So hopefully you look forward to that content, and hopefully you guys find it good. And anytime that you guys have any feedback, give it to me. Good, bad, indifferent, whatever it is, let me know. The only way that I can make the channel better, if you feel like it needs to go a different direction, is you tell me. I can't promise you that I'm going to do everything that you say, but I can promise you that I'll listen and take everything into account. And, you know, my hope is to grow this so that everybody can enjoy it, and that it's beneficial to me, to you, and everybody, to the community, to the animals especially. That's my biggest thing. I want to see everybody enjoy their animals more. And I want to see animals enjoy living with us more. So if we can get to that point, everybody wins, everybody's happy. So we'll see you guys. Thank you. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you're not subscribed for some crazy reason. Don't forget to share videos that you like or you think are helpful, especially in groups. If I've covered a topic and people are asking about a topic, I feel like a dick sometimes. I'll just send people a video like, here, check this out. But the reason I did a lot of those videos is because I've answered those questions hundreds and hundreds of times. And I thought, here's a chance to just let somebody sit down for 15 minutes and get all that information. They can watch that video 100 times if they need to make sure they got everything down. And then they can reference it at any point in time. If they're confused a year later and they're like, you know, let me go back and check. That was the idea there, was to make a resource like that. Especially some people don't like, they feel like talking to people directly is almost confrontational. So I figured this is another opportunity where somebody can learn without having to have a direct conversation if that makes them uncomfortable. So, and you guys know, anybody that's reached out to me, I try my best to be helpful. I do get busy. I have a lot of people that message me. I work. I have 100-something animals that I manage by myself. I shop, I clean, I do yard work. I'm very, very busy, but I do try to get back to people in a timely fashion where I can and try to help one-on-one as much as I can, customer or otherwise. All right, we'll see you guys. Thank you.